that's the doorbell at Jimmy's house. Now, when you come to my house, my doorbell sounds like this.
Hey, welcome to the People's Weekly. We're back a week after the last show. It's me and Canadian Glenn. What's up, Glenn?
Fuck the police.
Fuck the police. You like how I said everything when I went on an up note? It's me and Canadian Glenn. What's up, Glenn? I like that. It makes me seem more positive and people like me instead of me being a negative Nelly saying fuck the police. I had to say fuck the police. It's better.
Fuck the police?
I don't know. I just took a big ass toke, as you know, and I'm kind of delusional for a minute. I'm fading the music. So yeah, we're in the same basic situation we were in last week. People are protesting these fucking crooked ass, racist ass, murderous ass pigs. And the protests are still pretty big. They're still going on. Like we were just talking about before this show, a lot of stuff is happening because of it. You said the Cops television show is ended. And I said I didn't even know it was still going.
Yeah, that's an announcement that just came out this afternoon. CBS Viacom has canceled the 33rd season of Cops. So, I mean, they could have stopped 15 years ago. I wouldn't have known any different because it's the same shit over and over anyway. You know, you got Festus Sheriff dealing with Cletus dumbass. And, you know, whatever, man, just keep recycling it for 30 fucking years. But it's good to see that they're going to turn down that obvious easy money because it's too politically inconvenient these days. So the good thing about the TV world is once something gets canceled, 1% of the time does it ever come back. So bye-bye.
Yeah, we need to cancel the Real Cops, though. Because without them, they wouldn't even have the show. So that's my solution to the thing. They kind of did it backwards.
Well, as long as there is any sort of authority, there will always be a market for that shit. Because up here in Canada, they don't really have... They used to have a Cops that was just Canadian Cops, but that died out. Something that's gone on is Border Patrol. They hang around fucking airports and shit and film that stuff. And it's even more stupid in my opinion, but hey, people watch this garbage, so, you know, whatever.
Yeah, did you see that press conference with this New York City fucking I guess he's a union pig, you know, something, Pat Lynch, I guess is his name, crying and whining about we can't even rough up people, we can't put hands on anybody, they want me out of my neighborhood, they want me out of my job, oh woe is me. And fuck this motherfucker. They should run him out of town for good. These pigs should have to leave the country and just go live on an island or something, because fuck them. They've done too much damage. They're terrorists and we don't want them here.
Well, I mean, the thing is, when you just look at the state of mind of these people, it's like all of a sudden society wants me to be accountable for being a murderous piece of shit. How dare they? I mean, the privilege of these people is just off the scale, man. Like, fuck you already.
Yeah, if you notice in that video, he's surrounded by nothing but white male cops.
Yeah, all just like him.
Yeah.
You know, and the one thing I'm happy to see is this a few bad apple thing is not working this time. It's just simply not working. Nobody is tolerating it.
Man, there's not a few bad apples. These cops are laughing at people. They're smug as fuck. You know, now they're getting a little worried. I can tell. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because their budgets are getting cut somewhat, and someone's losing their jobs. Hopefully, all of them. Because we don't need it. We don't need this bullshit. This shit is going on too fucking long. If they could have fixed the problem, they would have done it a long time ago. But they didn't do it, so obviously they can't do it. So we need to abolish these motherfuckers. I know defund the police is the thing, but fuck that. Abolish the motherfuckers. Taking money away, taking a few million away, or even a few $100 million from cats is making billions. I mean, they're putting billions into the funding the police stations. That's a drop in the bucket. It's not doing shit. We got to abolish them. We got to come up with something better and different and for the people. And shit isn't as bad as they make it sound. I mean, think about the crime rates. When they talk about these high crime rates, a lot of that shit is fucking made up shit. Like, oh, traffic tickets, or someone didn't pay their traffic ticket, we give them a warrant, or drugs or something. Some shit that's not hurting anybody else, you know? It's not really even a vandalism. Somebody doing graffiti, you know, thefts, shit like that. And
well,
you know, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I mean, I'm not exactly young. So, I mean, I remember, like, I wasn't just a kid playing on the rug in front of the TV when this shit happened. Like, I remember when New York City in the 70s went bankrupt and the crime rates were incredibly high. And there was a very, on the surface, demarcation between what they considered ghetto New York and basically white New York. It was very obvious, and it was, you know, in a lot of ways, street warfare between the cops and the people who lived there. Not all the so-called thugs, just the citizens. Nobody wanted the cops around, but they were everywhere, fucking with people. So, I mean, I remember that. And, you know, what happened? Well, they made a lot of noise. And then when crime rates finally did start to go down, because in most big American cities, serious crime has been going down for decades. But when did quotas start? When they knew that crime was going down and it was continuing that trend. So they had to come up with something new to monetize their existence. And that was the quota system. And I mean, you can set a quota on anything you want, you know? You can set a quota on days the sun comes up. Our quota is 100%. You know, it's bullshit. So, I mean, that's the way they turned it into, this is how we justify more and more and more all the time. The other thing that blows my mind is, and this happens everywhere that I know of, including the city where I live, the cops grow in bodies every year. There are classes of new cops every year. Meanwhile, crime continues to go down. What are they hiring all these cops for? What are they supposed to do? I don't understand it.
It's exactly what you said, quotas, and the quotas are there for that reason. They criminalize more and more and more things. That's how they do it. Like I was saying, the crime rate, you have to look at like murders and rapes and abuse and stuff, you know? You don't look at petty shit. A lot of that shit shouldn't even be fucking crimes. I mean, they in some states they still do arrest people for some weed, man. How is that a fucking crime? Who the fuck is that hurting?
Well, there are a lot of states where homosexuality is still a crime.
Wow.
So I mean,
remind me, I have something about that I want to talk about too in a minute.
All right.
Go ahead with what your thought was, though.
But I mean, this is the issue that, we were talking about how this seems to have some staying power this time. Things are happening that should have happened a long time ago. It's early days. It's mostly all just talk at this point. But how come we didn't hear this talk back in 1992? How come we didn't hear this talk after Katrina? How come we didn't hear this talk when the Philadelphia PD was put under federal oversight? We didn't have the talks that we're having now, and they were just as relevant then, if not more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just weird how it's sticking this time. And, this is the thing. Why this time? And
do you know why? I think I might.
Well, I think one of the reasons is because it's not just Black Lives Matter and people of color. There are a great deal of whiteys out this time.
That's true.
And, I mean, did you see the video of Black Lives Matter's people being approached by a line of cops, and they said, "White shield." And a complete couple rows of white people went to the front, and you could see the cops completely change their attitude, their stance, everything. And I just thought it was such a great illustration of what the problem really is here.
Yeah, I've seen that a couple of times, stuff like that going on. But here in LA, we got everybody mixed up together fighting these pigs. It's like black cats, Latino cats, Asian cats, white cats, Arab cats. Everything you can imagine's out there, man, in these streets right now fighting these pigs.
And I bet it wasn't always that way. Yeah.
But what I was going to say was in Hollywood the other day, man, I had to park like way up in these hills by these rich people's houses or something to be able to get down there because there was no parking anywhere. Everyone was parking up there. I'm sure the rich people weren't happy, but fuck them. So I'm walking down, and I'll tell you something about some of these people too in a minute, but let me start here. So we had to walk down, and this cop was just patrolling up and down. So I flipped him off. I was like, "Fuck you, pigs." And the cops driving by screamed, "Fuck you too," and he used the F slur for gay people, right? And I didn't really think much of it. I was like, that's kind of fucked up. But I started getting closer. I started knowing there was a whole lot of people, like gay people, trans people, people with rainbow flags, black gay people, every race, And then I started getting like, wow, if that cop's screaming that shit out, what are they going to do to these people too? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These people are here fighting for the same stuff we are, and these cops are, like, I don't know if that went through the cop's mind, or if he was just trying to find something he thought was demeaning or what, but it just seemed really inappropriate under the circumstances with who was around there. Like, I wish I would have got that on video, but I was just, like I said, I just parked, I was getting ready to walk, and I flipped him off, and I don't even think I had my camera on my neck yet. And it didn't, I mean, it's probably sad to say, but at first it didn't bother me till I started getting down to the people and seeing all the gay people there. And I was like, wow, like I really might have to protect these people. If one of them goes off, by themselves away from the crowd, what are these pigs going to do? Like, that's not something you could scream at any job, dude.
Oh, exactly. Exactly.
That's a horrible thing to say to anybody.
Well, I mean, how many times have we seen it already with the Karen epidemic? There is actually, enough effort from people, and I'd say that in quotation marks. I mean, the internet is capable of just about anything, and I, for one, don't mind that for a change, all these Karens are getting exactly what they deserve. And, this is 2020, not 1955. So, I like to see that, but perhaps that's it as well. This time, it seems that for once, and I'm so thankful for it, is that for a change, white people are looking in the mirror and actually seeing what's there. That's a big change, in my opinion.
There was this one video of some Karen woman. She sounded like Melania Trump, but she was terrified about the video being recorded after she was being racist. She called the police like, they're videotaping me. I need the video deleted. She knew it was going to lead to. And I thought that was hilarious. But let me just say something, because I know I've been bashing these damn rich people up in these nice houses, but coming back to the car after this shit was over, it was a long ass walk. People were sweaty and tired. They'd been out all day, and a lot of people were going back that way. And some of these people were out in front of their houses, and I was like a little skeptical at first. And they had like water and snacks, and they're like, we appreciate y'all doing this. If you need anything, take it. Not all of them, but there was a few of them going up the hill. And I thought that was pretty awesome, because you got these really wealthy white people supporting the people down there. I don't know if they went down there and came back home, or I don't know what, because there was so many people. I couldn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think there was 10,000 people. There's 15,000 people on a few blocks of Hollywood. Like nothing was moving. But I thought that was awesome, at least, because that's a rare thing. Rich white people usually hate the shit we stand for.
Yeah.
So, the more of them you get, the better.
This.
Go ahead.
Well, this is the other thing that I'm starting to see come out of some sources. They're saying, okay, so it's not like this is a new problem. What happened to George Floyd, this is not a new problem. This has been going on for generations, for centuries. This is not new. But why is it so different this time? And there are some people starting to say, because the temperature of the water before this started was higher on an average than it had ever been before. And why is that? Because of Trump. There are some people that are starting to say the reason this is going to get somewhere this time is because of Trump. Now,
yeah, I think.
Do you put any weight in that?
Yeah, I mean, people hate Trump, and I hope they hate Biden or whoever the next president is as much, because they're all horrible fucking people. And just because one is blatant and racist doesn't mean the other one isn't silent racist, doing policies like the Clinton crime bill and whatever else Joe Biden is going to do. Yep. So that's the first thing. But yeah, Trump is a bold, blatant, loudmouth, idiot racist. And he's proud of it, and people hate that shit. And then you have the fact of the virus. People been locked up. People don't have no money. People are all out of work. It's just this giant trifecta of shit hitting right now, I think. That's what I was going to say earlier, and I got sidetracked with the tangent. But I think it's so many factors right now that haven't really happened before. You had poor people uprising before. I've been one of them back in the days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it wasn't enough of us. Even on the big shit, the big protests that happen, it would be the leaders, would be these Democrats or Revcoms or some idiot ass group, and they'd have permits and they do all kinds of, stuff meant to inspire people, I guess. And then promptly when it was over, they go home and there'd be people lingering. And if we're gonna fight with the police, we don't have the numbers to do it properly,
Yeah.
Like I've told a story before. It was me and this cat Matt Capone, who died. We did a tribute to him a while back when we found out he died. A lot of other cats out there, but there was like 3,000 people behind us as we marching toward the police. We ripped down the tape. We ripped down their line. We turned around. There's just a few of us left. We had to run. We were about to get fucked up. Everyone just left us. Like what kind of, it didn't, but now it's not happening. Now I see, like I said, I see cats of every race fucking shoving burning dumpsters into police lines and fucking throwing rocks and attacking in bottles is great. And if anyone want to talk shit about being violent, it was totally peaceful. I got video to prove this shit. Every fucking time it's peaceful until the pigs come. It's like a big ass block party. Yeah, there might be some graffiti, but no windows was getting smashed. No cop cars was getting burned because it wasn't there. And they did the right thing in Hollywood on Saturday because they're learning they can't fucking win this shit. Everyone's against them. What they did was they stayed about, like, we barely could see them. They were down the blocks. You know, we knew where they were. I did anyway. I don't know if everyone else did, but I'm always, you know me, I always check the perimeters and see what's happening.
Yeah.
They had helicopters all in the sky, but the cops stayed back and rerouted all the traffic. They didn't attack. They didn't even show their faces that close. Fire truck came, we let it through. Ambulance came, we let it through because we always do that shit.
Yep.
But these fucking pigs were nowhere in sight. I mean, they were down the block, maybe half a mile down, but they weren't in our faces. You'd have to take a little walk to get to them. And that's what the fuck they need to do, accommodate our shit.
Yep.
Because we're not going anywhere. Why attack us? Cops are going to get hurt, and worse than that, people are going to get hurt. I don't give a fuck if cops get hurt. But I don't want the people to get hurt. And I understand that day's coming when people are going to have to get hurt and die, you know, fighting for what we need to fight for. But in this situation, that's unnecessary. There's no reason to have conflict. Because stage your asses back like that every day. And I think a week or two ago on the show, I said that shit. And finally, they're doing it. I know they didn't listen to the show, but I'm just saying, whatever it was, it's a great idea. Stay the fuck away from us. Wherever the fuck we go, block the streets, figure it out. You know what I mean? Just don't get in our face.
And that is
there because these motherfuckers is murderers.
Yeah.
Now in downtown, they got them lined up in front of the buildings and they're dicks and they're smiling and you know what I mean? Smirking, laughing at people. Just being total fucking dicks like that, you know, their nature is. But yeah, I want to see those smirks in the unemployment lines.
Well, you know, all this talk about, the more popular, the safer way to talk about it, I guess, is defund the police. Which
Glenn, you know me. Abolish the police is what I'm aiming for. I don't want these fuckers around, but go ahead.
Well, yeah, I mean, this, like I said, seems to be the more acceptable way to speak about it. Defund the police. Now, on the surface, yeah, I mean, the amount of money that is spent by cities on police is far and away more than anything else. It doesn't matter how big your city is. It doesn't matter where it is. It doesn't matter if, you know, you have coastline or you're in Tornado Alley or what. Guaranteed, your city, your civic taxes, the majority of it goes to policing. And for, you know, probably the majority of taxpayers in that situation, they may never, ever need the police. You know, there are a lot of people that somehow manage to go through their life and never end up face to face with a cop over anything, which I don't get, but apparently it happens.
That's heaven.
I guess it happens. I don't know. But so, I mean, when and especially now, like you said, with the pandemic and people not having money and asshole landlords throwing people into the streets, there needs to be more money available for so many people coming into rough times. And it's not like they don't collect money, because they do. It's just, what the fuck y'all spending it on and why? Now, you know, there was the experiment in Camden a few years ago. Camden was one of those cities known for their, well, infamous for their cops, they actually structurally did dismantle their police and put them back together. And the results are mixed. I think less than 10 years is not any way to judge doing something like this. You need, some history, some fucking evidence, not just what happened last year. Let's change it back. No, you can't do that. But it turns out that Camden didn't really save any money. They're pretty much spending on policing what they did before they did this. So, what is really down the road if this keeps happening? And then you look at what Minneapolis has done, and I'm still skeptical, but I can't find anything that legally puts a hole in it. They have followed their laws, and they have passed an ordinance or whatever they've done in council that cannot be vetoed, that they are going to, quote unquote, disband the Minneapolis Police Department.
I love it.
What this means, though, nobody knows. So, there are those people out there, usually fucking professors, who are going to say, this is overly drastic. You have no plan. And if you think there aren't people sitting around that are thinking, you know what? Now we can finally do that armed robbery. There is a downside to making statements this large. No matter how good the rainbow looks, we understand where you're trying to get to and what you want things to change to. But how the fuck do you get there? You just can't sit in a council chamber and say, we're defunding the police. There's got to be more to it. And I'm just worried that they're going to pump people up and then they're not going to have a clue how to do it. And it ain't going to turn out well.
I think, like we said before, there's a lot less crime than they make you believe there is.
Yeah.
And the police are a cause of a lot of that. Just the bullshit laws making things criminal that aren't. Do you think anyone would give a fuck if the police were just stopping armed robberies, mass shootings, murders, serial killers, rapists? No, but they patrol the streets looking for any little bullshit. This guy might have some crack or some fentanyl or some fucking speed or some whatever, right? Just looking at just to fuck with people. They're going through homeless people's tents looking for drugs to arrest them, but they're not going through people in Beverly Hills houses looking for drugs to arrest them. It just doesn't make sense to me. But the thing is, I think the defund the police, there's a lot of ambiguity to it. I don't like it. Because when they say defund the police, you got people like the punk-ass Garcetti over here in L.A. who's going to take a 3%, not 3% of the police budget, 3% of the raise they're adding to the police budget and say, oh, look, we took a couple $100 million off or whatever. They make $3 billion. They fund the police $3 billion a year, I think. That's nothing. And the cops are still butthurt about it. But then they say, look, see, we defunded the police. No, you didn't. You just took a little drop out the bucket. You need to abolish them. Now, you can come up with something else that's not abusive, that just deals with major fucking crimes.
Yeah.
You don't need to patrol these streets and ticket motherfuckers. They got, in L.A., man, there's meters everywhere. Everywhere's meters. They got toll freeway roads where you need a little scanner, a little box on your car to go down, or they'll fine you. Just crazy shit. But we pay taxes for these roads. These roads were built with our shit. The streets were built with our tax dollars. And you got these pigs patrolling, ticketing $93, $100 and something dollars for a meter running out. It's fucking insane. And it's always in these poor areas, or and if they're in a rich area, then the people who live there can afford those tickets. The people trying to go to a store or an event or something happening over there, they can't.
Yeah.
And these people wait. They'll just sit there waiting, watching the meters. As soon as it goes out, like even a person coming out 2 minutes later, too late. They're thirsty motherfuckers. Then they got police driving up and down looking, oh, these cats don't look like they belong in this neighborhood. Oh, look, there's a white dude with a black dude in the hood. They're buying drugs. How do you know they're not going to just play some video games or something? Like, you know, it's all these stereotypical racist bullshit these police are pushing through, and that's how they patrol. They're brutalizing us. They're murdering us. I don't care what they do, but they need to get rid of them. They need to come up with something better. And that might just be mental health care for people, you know, drug rehab programs. Fucking, how about universal basic income so motherfuckers don't have to do robberies?
Yep.
I mean, there's still going to be the off motherfucker that just does shit in a capitalist system. When that's the way shit works, motherfuckers are going to rob shit. It's just the way it happens.
Yep.
But, just by the way, most bank robberies in California are done by white dudes. So I just want to throw that out there.
Well, that's absolutely true. I mean, it's, you know, it seems that any time that there's a bank hit, it wasn't, you know, a few brothers smoking rock and figured, yeah, what the fuck? Let's go do this. No, it's professional criminals that can blend into a crowd, and they know exactly what they're doing.
I had some friends that were from my neighborhood, and they're in prison. Well, one's dead, one's in prison. His name was Psycho. They used to go down south to these little tiny towns and hit like federal credit unions, you know, and come back with all this money all the time. And yeah, he's in prison now. He got caught. Nobody died ever. They never killed nobody. They just got these federal credit unions and robbed them. And people say so. He was on America's Most Wanted, actually. They were hunting for him for a long time. I grew up with him. But the thing is, you have cops from the Rampart Division back in the day that were going to Vegas, robbing a bank, with the bank manager involved, allowing him to do it, and then they go hit it again. And these were cops. Then they come out here and do terrible shit on the streets. Like, Training Day was based on that. I'm sure it was exaggerated and changed a little, but it was based on that whole thing, that movie Training Day.
Yeah.
These people were sick. They were the criminals. And it's happening here all the time. These cops are criminals. When they murdered dude down the block here, we talked about it before. What were they doing? They were out looking for cameras to cover up their shit. Yeah. You know, what criminal can do that? What gangster can just be like, okay, now we need to get the homies out on the block and get every footage we can to clear this up? It doesn't work like that. They're so horrible, man. They're terrible. He was beating that cat. There was a cat in someone else's yard. And he started talking shit. That was a viral video, and he got his ass whooped by this cop. They need to go. If they want to reimagine some kind of policing thing, do it right, or we're gonna tear that shit down too eventually. You got it, you know. I don't have a problem with I mean, and then the whole prison system's got to stop. We got the highest prison population on the planet. There's countries with 3-4 times the amount of people we have, 10 times the amount of people, and all of them together don't have the prison population we have here. It's fucking insane. I think I said that wrong. I said if you add them all together, it'd be like, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but I mean,
huge prison population. Jail population. They lock people up for everything. And it ain't the rich people getting locked up generally.
No, but it's the rich people making money off it.
Oh, yeah. Stocks, prison stocks and shit.
You know, that's the issue. I mean, this is a big part of this. This is all about the money going around. You know, I mean, how many thousands of police making 6 digits a year to uphold the bullshit? That's, you know, I mean, get real. How many cops in big American city police departments know exactly what they're getting paid for? To do as they're told and shut the fuck up. They know it.
Meet your quotas.
Yeah, and they accept it. That's their job. You know? So, yeah, where do you go with something that operates on that system? There's no, like there's that, like we've talked about before, that magic bullshit word, reform. Reform is not change. And that's all I got to say about reform. So, I mean, yeah, you're right. When it's that full of shit, there's no fixing it. There is only starting over, reimagining, or a reassessment of the reality. And, it's just like carding. It's just like all these other things. Like we said, it's about inventing a quota, inventing a need for what they say they do, which is really not what they actually do, but, it's all about the PR.
Let's reimagine this real quick. Let's say they have something like police, right? These people are walking through different neighborhoods, driving through different neighborhoods. They see somebody selling, let's say they see somebody doing some drugs. Normally they jump out and arrest them and get a quota, right? Get them for paraphernalia, whatever they have on them. What if instead of that, they said, oh, this person's doing drugs. Let's go contact them, get them some information, and if they want to get help, now they have the means to do it for free. You know what I mean? And if they don't. They'll still be out here. We'll say hello to them again tomorrow. Yep. We don't have guns. We're walking down the streets. We're talking to people in the communities they live in. You know what I mean? Instead of having some cop from way over here coming to patrol this area and this and that. So then you got these people that are actually helping people. Oh, this person looks like he has mental illness. Let's see if we can get him into a program if they want. This person might need something. We have funds to give you. Here's a grocery card, or here's this or that.
Yeah,
they're doing this. Now let's say something tragic happens, like there's somebody doing some shit. They can make a call. The police with the guns come.
Yep.
But they don't all need them. I mean.
Well, that's the way it's worked in fucking Great Britain forever.
Yeah, and it's getting fucked up there now too, I heard. But what if they were really out there helping people? You know what I mean? Like people see them like there's a bunch of cats sitting around smoking weed, shooting dice, selling drugs. The cops come by. How you guys doing today? All right. Do you need anything? Yeah. No. All right. Have a good day. Because gambling over some dice, who's it hurting? People choose to do whatever. Smoking weed, who's it hurting? Selling drugs, some might argue that it's hurting other people, but if you don't, you have programs now. And if you legalize the drugs, it's a lot less of it's a lot less stigma going into a rehab or something if it's just a thing to do. I'm going to try to really get off drugs, and I'm going to go do this. And if someone wants to do them, they're going to do them anyway. They're going to get them somewhere, right? So like all those things, nobody's dying.
Yep.
Why do the police have to go and everyone has to run and start chasing them and beating their ass and calling in more cars and shit?
Well, that right there, that's one of the biggest things that blows my mind about the videos that you put up. It's like the number of LAPD that show up for fuck all. And it's like, holy fuck, did you guys just find Saddam? Or what the fuck is going on here?
They're cowards. That's why.
It's just ridiculous. It's an army situation every time. They come out of the fucking woodwork. And it's like for one dude, and there's like 10 or 12 LAPD show up. And all they do is stand there and glare at everybody else. Like, yeah, you want to go? You want to go? Like, this isn't policing. This is
bullying on a massive scale.
It is armed intimidation. That's all it is. And you're paying for it. That's the real piss off. Like, if you're in Baghdad and the counter insurgency forces come through, well, they're they're an invading force. That's one thing. But to be paying for it when you go shop at local businesses, and if you own a home, you're paying for it with your fucking taxes? That's even worse, you know? Maybe that's a big part of why this is catching on this time, too. There's enough people that are starting to consider, why the fuck are my taxes going to this?
I know. Imagine what we could have if all our money didn't go to military and police. We could have a beautiful society, man.
You would think so.
What?
You would think so.
But, yeah, like you said before, too many people profit off the bullshit.
Yeah.
It's the real problem isn't the police, the military, the country. It's capitalism, authoritarianism, fascism. You know, people trying to hold power and get as much as they can. And it's not just Trump. It's been going on every president throughout history, basically. Every politician. These people are scum. Look at Pelosi. She's no better than any of these people. I know they love her or whatever, but I don't know why. I mean, we should abolish politicians. We can vote on shit, and we can have people that work for us, who have jobs that they could lose if they fuck up. You know? But we don't need these rulers. It doesn't make sense. Like any issue, we can vote on the issue. We could vote on hundreds of issues. I would go vote for issues. And then you have people that we hire to make sure the shit happens that we vote for. It's really not that complicated. And if they fuck up, like I said before, we fire them. This 4-year term, 2-year terms, lifetime terms. What the fuck? Who else gets jobs like that? Nobody. It's insane. Give a fuck if you a judge. I don't give a fuck who you are. You should not have a lifetime appointment. You fuck up, you should be fired like anybody else at any other place. Your job is to do the will of the people. That's that. The majority of the people. Not the little racist in your neighborhood.
Yeah, that makes sense, but you know,
we have the damn I can't think right now. My mind shot too many bowls. But yeah, like our votes don't count, man.
Well, I think just the way you talked about that scenario, that's the whole thing right there. And cops are cops. There's still a lot is an understatement, but even up here in Canadian cities, there's awful lot of fucking assholes because they're drawn to it. And they know that when they get that job, they're going to find people just like them, and they're going to fit in, and they're going to have a comfort level of being, you know, in the racist squad. And they're going to be rewarded for it quite handsomely as far as money goes. So this whole setting up of this, I mean, it's like, say, you could be a doctor, but it doesn't matter what medical school you went to. It doesn't matter how long you trained. You got a piece of paper? Yeah, great. Yeah, sure. So are you open-minded or are you kind of stupid? Well, oh, you're perfect. Come on in. Your intelligent friend there that asks questions? I'm sorry, we're not interested in you for our corporation. We're looking for people here like Cletus. Yeah. And then they turn around and give these guys over $100K. You know, this is just, the system is fucked. This is, how can you expect to end up with anything other than what you have? This is like the mob. This is the same shit.
Yeah. You know? And we don't want another black police chief. That's not going to do it this time. They brought in Bernard Parks and they brought in Willie. When Gates went bad, Parks came in. When Bratton turned out to be the fascist, evil, terrible monster we knew he was before they hired him. Because of what he did in New York, they brought in Willie Williams. And these people were terrible too.
Yeah.
It's just they think a black face on a police chief's going to make a difference. Well, fuck a police chief. I don't give a fuck what color he is. He's a police chief. He's a piece of shit. We don't need them.
And they come from the same system.
Yes.
So what do you expect? I mean, this guy has risen through the ranks to get to where he is. It's not because he was turning people in and demanding justice for innocent people. That's not how you become a captain, an inspector, a chief. That's not how it's done. So, exactly. I mean, this packaging, this visual, he's a black man, we'll see a change now. Yeah, fuck that. Look at all the white cops he's had to deal with his whole career, and he made it to chief? So do you think he sticks up for the brother? Like, get fucking real.
We had a black president that didn't do a goddamn thing for black people. What do you think a black police chief is going to do?
Yeah, good point, man. Good point.
The system isn't set up for that. Whoever's they put in the system in high places has to bow down to the system, not the people. That's how it works. That's why we got two white supremacist rapist motherfuckers is the only choice these people have right now. Imagine if you could just vote for policies and you didn't need these assholes.
Absolutely.
Like, what the fuck does a mayor even do? Shows up at events and waves. and then denies everything the people want. Fuck you. How come we can't just fire him right now? Get the fuck out. Oh, you know what? Electoral college was the word I was looking for before, but I just took that big ass hit and I was still kind of lightheaded. So yeah, then we got, we should be able to do this shit locally. Like whatever we want to vote, any issue, we should put it to a vote. And it should be a speedy thing. People are talking about abolishing, doing whatever to the police. Start putting it to a vote. We don't need these motherfuckers telling us what they want. Who the fuck are you? You work for the people. You put it to a vote. And if there's enough racist, cop-loving motherfuckers, then they'll win. If there's not, then we will win. It's that fucking simple. And some states will still have police, unfortunately, because there's a bunch of these assholes. And some states won't because there's not. And we can go even more down to city, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Doesn't matter. The will of the people is what matters. And then people will say, oh, this shit's really working out the way they did that. Let's adopt this for us. Or this shit isn't working out so hot, but what if we did it like this? It might,
Yep.
Anything's better than having these motherfuckers killing us all the time, beating us, locking us in fucking cages for bullshit. There's people doing, throughout, historically in this country, there's people that have done decades and decades for some weed, man. And now weed's legal.
Yeah, they ain't getting let out.
Some have, some places haven't. But the whole thing is, it's not a crime. So many of these things they deem crime are not a crime.
Yeah.
If there's nobody that gets hurt, it's not a crime. It's not a serious level where you need to be locked the fuck away. Like painting on a wall, how is that a fucking crime? It's art.
But it costs somebody money. That's why it's a crime. Because somebody's going to have to make an insurance claim to get their wall repainted.
If they want to do that, that's on them. And then, don't even get me started on insurance companies right now. It's a whole other show. These motherfuckers are shiesty as shit.
Oh yeah, of course they are.
You want to talk about our racist in chief? Do you know what he said today about that old white dude? What? That the cops, there was a 75-year-old white dude who talked about him. The cops shoved him, busted his fucking head open, and kept walking past him like nothing happened.
Yeah.
Today he basically said he's an Antifa provocateur, and he probably set it all up. Fake blood, fake this, fake that. And this came from some super right-wing site that Trump's favorite OA and America One News Network.
Yeah.
With those weirdos that be in the White House all the time to get the good seats.
Yeah.
They did an article and somebody commented on the article, and whole conspiracy theory started from this comment. And you got the president of the motherfucking United States tweeting the shit out like it's a fact. And here's the other thing. I would hope he was an anti-fascist. Because I would hope everyone's an anti-fascist. Why the fuck would you want to be a fascist? Like, they make it sound like it's such a bad thing. These people hate fascism. They're Antifa. Oh my God. Terrorists.
Oh,
but the fascists, if we know, are the ones running people down with trucks, making knife, arm, hand things, shooting people with bows and arrows, running cars, shooting people through the, in the streets, threatening bomb attacks, mass shootings. Those are the non-terrorists. Those are the fascists, because they're good people. They're very fine people. But those that oppose them are terrorists. Go figure.
Yeah, but that's exactly what fascists say. I mean, that's it. I mean,
you'd think they'd hide it a little better. That's blatant. Antifa is a fascist.
Well,
they're saying we're the fascists. That's what they're literally saying. They're proud of it. Yeah,
but don't think, just listen. I mean, these are the people that line up behind fascism. Don't think, just listen. Just feel. And I mean, I really understand, and I agree with this thing about direct democracy. Smaller jurisdictions are better. As long as people are happy and getting what they want, you'd be amazed how many agreements can be worked out across bigger areas.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the general population is so fucking stupid, and ignorant is the correct word. They just have no idea about other places, other lifestyles, other religions, other anything. All they know is their own shit, and anything else is bad. There's just too many people that think like that, and I really don't understand how you can call yourself a human being and be so determined to stay in your little fucking bubble your entire life. I just don't get it at all. But it's a condition for tens of millions easily in the US. And
at least.
And I mean, that's the thing. You want to give this kind of recall power and plebiscite power, voting power, to people that are that fucking stupid. That's how Hitler got in. So it's dangerous. I mean, it's kind of, I've always thought it's strange about how the two guys that are supposedly the biggest fucking communists who ever lived, Marx and Engels, talk about quite extensively and correctly about how before people really can figure out how to run big societies, they got to fucking read a couple books. Like, you can't be an idiot and not be concerned about how your money's being spent, who's spending it. Like, even hardcore commies admit to the fact that a well-informed and active population makes for the best government. And fascism is completely against that.
Well, here's something we haven't said yet, and I'm sure we both have thought about it. You take all that money from the police stations and departments and everything that you just abolish and put it into education, real education, not fucking historical revision education. How about every kid has a chance to go to college if they choose to, because it's free and it's paid for.
Yep.
Because we don't have all this money, these billions of dollars going into fucking wars and policing. I mean, that would benefit society so much. Imagine what highly educated population can do for their own population.
Well, they can certainly get rid of a whole political hierarchy, which is exactly what they're scared of.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, man. I just think it's so obvious about what's going on.
Did you hear the LAPD's little threat?
The one about
if you're gonna go ahead and take money from us, then you should make sure it comes out of the patrols of the council members and mayors' houses, because the police be standing guard over there all the time. Yeah, I agree,
I did.
And I agree with them on that. These motherfuckers make so much money from our tax dollars. Hire your own fucking private security like any other person would do in that situation. What the fuck is our tax dollars paying for your protection for? Why do you need to be protected from the people? Maybe it's because you aren't doing the bidding of the people. You're doing your own fucking crooked shit.
Yeah.
If you were a real motherfucker and you're with the people ain't trying to attack you. The people ain't trying to protest out in front of your house.
Yep.
People don't fucking hate you. But no. They want to have us pay to protect them from us? What kind of sense does that even make? Hell yeah. That should not even happen no matter what. There should be no cops outside their house more than any other house. You see what I'm saying? They got this jackass piece of shit billionaire on the police commission, Steve Soberoff. He gets police escorts. He gets police everything. It's like he's some guy in the police or his own. You're a fucking billionaire. The fuck you have police doing that shit for? Why are we paying for your shit? Pay for your own shit, you dumbass.
Yep.
It doesn't even make sense. Why do we have to pay for a billionaire's private security because he wants to sit on a fucking police commission and go against everything we believe in? It's so fucked up, man. It's crooked as shit.
Well, this is exactly why I look at this disband the police, and it's like, what does that really mean? You might as well say disband government, for Christ's sake.
Thank you. I love it. The 4 Ds, right?
You can't have one without the other, man.
Decolonize, dismantle, disrupt, and destroy the whole motherfucking thing and start over. That's part of the union philosophy, by the way.
Yeah. But this is interesting. It's not like I'm scraping the internet for articles, but I mean, I am keeping markers on it. What Minneapolis has done, saying that it's impossible to politically undo this now. So, okay, what's next? Let's see. Let's see. Because there have been, in the last generation, some police departments that were just so beyond that it basically was just, somebody let go of the strings and it just all fell apart. I mean, New Orleans, Philadelphia, Camden, Baltimore, it's happened.
I know Compton voted that a long time ago. I think it was their mayor and their police were having a feud, and eventually they got rid of their police department, which seems like it's a good thing on the outside, but what happened was even more brutal, corrupt sheriffs, which are the most corrupt law enforcement that we have in California, they started patrolling, so it got more terrible over there.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, if they're just going to replace it with some other bullshit monsters like the sheriffs or something, then really nothing gets done, especially if they put more funding into the sheriffs. They need to get rid of all these agencies, highway patrols, sheriffs, state troopers, fucking all that shit. Start over. Those for everyone who worked in policing should be fired immediately, and then they can go through and reevaluate people when they apply for jobs doing whatever. Like how many people, they need to have their record. Like how many people did you murder? How many people did you abuse? How many complaints did you have?
Yep.
And then no, sorry, you can't work in law enforcement. You can't work in government. You can't work doing anything here. Go get a job in some regular ass place like everybody else, because you done fucked up.
And also, there should be something attached to that. You don't work anywhere where it involves a gun.
Oh, definitely. That's why I said some regular place. I'm thinking like a grocery store, or electronics store. I don't know, wherever. A factory, a warehouse, delivery driver. I don't know. But yeah, nothing where you need a gun. These cops should be banned from having guns.
Well, that is another issue in the United States, and I see that the New York State Senate overwhelmingly, finally, passed a bill that's been before them numerous times, and it has to do with something called A50, and in New York State it was a law that prevented the public from finding out the history of law enforcement officers. The public could not see files on cops, and they're finally going to kill that.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Some state, I don't know, or a city, I'm not sure. I have to look it up. They just passed a law saying you can't talk shit or film the police in their area because too many, quote unquote, too many people are just doing it to make money. Being smart mouthing the cops for YouTube views. No. I do this shit, so let me explain it. When I'm not monetized. When I was able to be monetized, I wasn't monetized. I do it because I want to show people they have no power. I want to psychologically mindfuck these cops as much as possible. And I want to protect the people and document what they're doing, keep them accountable. There's a lot of reasons why I do what I do.
Yep.
And none of them have to do with making any kind of money or getting any kind of recognition. I guess the recognition is other people do the same thing. There are people that make money doing that, and that's fine if that's what they do. That's their job. They're media. They're journalists. There's big news crews that show up at crime scenes and film what police. What's the difference? These cats, at least, are doing it on the spot, maybe helping somebody be protected, So it doesn't bother me if somebody wants to make money doing it, make money, but that's not an excuse. People hate the fucking police. Do you think people would be out there filming and cursing out the police if they wasn't as fucked up and terrible organization as they are?
Yeah.
Be no fucking point. For what? I hate it, man. I'd be chilling. We'd be like 10 of us, 12 of us, 15 of us chilling, smoking weed, listening to music, doing whatever we doing. Getting ready to go do something. You know what I mean? Just regular shit people do. And then what happens? I have to go film the police. They pull up on the block, or I hear them around the corner or something, or someone says, oh shit, the police are doing something. Do you think that's really what I want to do? Stop every fucking thing I'm doing and go hold a camera for 30, 40, an hour, 2 hours in front of these dumbass motherfuckers? Like, is that really what I want to do? No. It's what I have to do. It's not what I want to do. I want that shit over with. Tired of this shit. I don't want to have to scream at these motherfuckers, calling them all kinds of bitches and losers and terrible fascists, killers, baby killers, cockroaches, pigs, swine. Wishing them death, telling them about the people who are going to rebel against them. Hey, I've been saying that for a while, so finally they're seeing I was right too. But yeah, I don't want to do that shit, man. I want to just live my life and be happy, but I can't because these asshole pigs are monsters, man.
Yeah. And it is
all the way to the top.
Exactly. It is their organization. It is how they are set up. There can be no ambiguity about that. They, like I've seen people in the last few days say, well, why doesn't the LAPD get charged under RICO?
Yeah.
And that is a very good question. It is a very good question.
Yeah, there's so many ways they could deal with this.
Yeah.
They could have dealt with this before. They could have just said, you know what? When you cops murder an innocent person, we're bringing you up on charges. If they're unarmed, there's no reason. If you could have done something other than shoot, we're bringing you up on charges. Because you're trained. You're here to, quote-unquote, protect and serve the community, not just yourself and the rich people and their property.
Yep.
So when you murder somebody, we're going to take it serious. And then when the lawsuit comes, a civil suit, well, first of all, you got to get your own lawyer. We're not backing you on this shit. You know what I mean? Just like any other job, when you do some terrible breaking the law shit, get your own lawyer. The people ain't paying for your fucking lawyer. We're gonna prosecute you, and then when the civil suit comes, it's coming out of the police pensions. So now all your homies are gonna be pissed with you for doing this shit. You see, because you're bringing all their money down.
Yep.
But they didn't do that. They just kept making them more and more immunity. Let them kill. Who cares? We can't hurt. Fuck that.
Yep.
No. And that's why we are where we are now. It's been like this, but they don't even care, man. There'll be a camera. You've seen the guy smiling for the camera. Well, murdering that fucker. They don't give a shit anymore. They're like, they're not going to do a goddamn thing to me. That's why they sit out here laughing at us all the time. That's why they say any fucking thing they want. Because they know they're above the law and they can get away with it. If they had stopped that, it wouldn't be like this now. But they didn't do that. So now we need to abolish these motherfuckers and get something better. Or nothing at all as far as I'm concerned. But I'm just trying to be acceptable to, what's acceptable to the other people. Because I know I can get extreme sometimes, once in a while.
Rumor has it.
Man.
But, this brings up another thing, too. I mean, I really think it's an issue for some reason that as soon as they started talking about how much police costs, it caught on fucking instantly this time. And that's got to be related to the pandemic and the unemployment. It has to be.
Yeah, I mean, why are meter maids essential? Why are fucking police essential? Like, I could see you keep some people on call or some shit jumps off, okay? But just patrolling, fucking with people for every little thing, curfews, fucking not wearing masks. These cops haven't worn masks at all, man. These cops, once in a while, not. Every time I film them, there's been at least one or two either wearing their mask wrong or not wearing their mask at all. And now none of them got masks. Like, the mask is a rare exception. Wow. We ain't out of this shit. They're wearing masks because riot police wear masks regularly to hide their faces, but,
Yeah.
But a lot of them don't even have masks on. It's just like, fuck the people. We don't care. We'll kill you. We'll get you sick. We'll do whatever the fuck we want because who's going to stop us? So now we got to stop them. We can't stop this shit. People got to stay out in these fucking streets every day. If it takes months, if it takes years, we have to stay out in these fucking streets like this in huge numbers. And if attacked, we need to defend ourselves and attack back. It's that simple. Every time we're out there, we got to know we're putting our ass on the line. And if these fucking pigs want to attack us, we're going to hand them their asses as much as possible. Well, and they need to know that, too. If you leave us the fuck alone, you'll have peace. If you come at us, we're going to come back at you hard as fuck.
Well, I think something that was very downplayed in the American media, well, Western media overall, that happened just a few years ago is what happened in South Korea. Now, I think most people would say that as a country, South Korea is probably one of the smartest countries in the world. Like there's an awful lot of higher education happening in South Korea. They're not really known as slack-ass idiots. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And they were not happy with their federal government at all. And there was a scandal with their leadership, and it involved like almost something bordering on like fucking Moonies. Like it was some really screwball religious shit, like Asian Scientology type stuff.
Yeah.
And those people getting access to the power of the government. And South Korea turned out for over a year, once a week, with numbers in the millions. And it ended up that entire government stepped down. They got new elections. They wiped all those people out. Some people went to jail. I mean, again, they didn't fuck around. It's like, okay, we know why we threw them out, because we think they committed these crimes. So get them in court now. Not in a couple years, not before they die, fucking now. And they got results that they're happy with. Everybody's back to work. There's no problems, besides the pandemic. But I mean, otherwise, politically, they've pretty much gone back to normal. Things are fine because a well-informed and involved population said, fuck all y'all. You got to go. You work for us. You're out. They got them out. They put new people in. Everything's fine. See, that's the last thing that the so-called Western democracies want to get out there, because it can be done anywhere. It can be done. It just takes everybody.
Yeah.
And, in North America, good luck.
Well, we got a lot of people, man. This is bigger than a lot of shit. And like we were saying before the show, unlike 92, where we're just out there to wreak havoc. I mean, I'm speaking for myself and the people I'm involved with. I know there was people that was righteous in 92 that really knew what was going on, but we didn't. We were just a bunch of lowly gangbanger Crips. But, it's way different, man. People are really mad at the police. And looting and burning shit doesn't really bother me. That's property, and it makes a point. It keeps the police on their toes. They're running around.
Yep. If they're not setting the fires.
If they're not setting the fires. But yeah, I mean, I don't care. And that narrative, whatever, a lot of it is the people. And I don't care what their motives are, man. If there's shit going on and poor people can get some shit, why can't they get some shit? Yep. Rich people fucking loot everything. Look at Steve Mnuchin. How many people's lives has he ruined while he was looting shit? But nobody says what a terrible person he was. None of these looters made as much as he did on his foreclosing fiasco, right?
Yep.
And he's up in the fucking White House. So fuck anyone who's saying these people shouldn't be looting shit. When the motherfucking rich people stop looting shit from us, then maybe we'll stop looting shit. The fuck out of here with that.
Yeah.
But, and it's just so different. It's a lot like you said, it's all races, but then it's just people are focused.
Yeah.
Even the motherfuckers looting that I've seen were coming, you know what I'm saying? They were coming together before. That shit went crazy after everything. When the pigs attacked, shit went haywire. That was like the first few days. Nobody was looting shit. Everyone was peaceful. Even the motherfuckers that was breaking into shit was peaceful, chilling with the people. Black Lives Matter, fuck the police, fuck 12, all these different signs, right? Solidarity, the whole street. The pigs attack. What the fuck? You're going to shoot people up, bomb motherfuckers with flashbangs, gas people, and you worried about them looting? You caused that shit. The police caused that shit.
Yeah. I think that's another difference this time too. The live video from everywhere.
Yeah, definitely.
Is really showing how the cops are making shit happen just about every time, which is not a new phenomenon for anybody who knows better, but it's getting seen on a scale that it's never been seen before, and all at the same time.
They can't control the narrative when everyone has cameras out there. Back in 92, and I'm sure during the Watts riots, even on a smaller scale, in 65, I think, or 68, I'm not sure, people had to depend on what they saw on the mainstream media, the television or the radio.
Yep.
And they could control anyway how these people are terrible and this and that, and they would acknowledge what happened with the police thing a little bit, but they focus on how bad it was. It was riot pouring all day and night for 24 hours straight. I don't know about the 65 one, but I'm imagining it was even worse, talking shit about the people protesting. than 92. And now they can't. They have, you know, the videos are like you said. You see the police slashing people's tires, shoving old men to the ground, attacking peaceful people for nothing, gassing people, shooting reporters' eyes out, killing a girl with gas, shooting a protester in the face. It's just, you know, time and time again, terrible, brutal, murderous things. I mean, we out here protesting police murder and brutality, so the police show up and give us more murder and brutality. So they trying to make it a never-ending cycle? Because what they did in Hollywood the other day was cool. They need to keep that shit up. We still gonna abolish their ass, but stay the fuck out our face. Let us do what the fuck we gonna do. And you know what? Their city didn't get tore up, did it? Because we had way more people out there. Hollywood Boulevard could have been done. I was looking at the store saying, hey, is there anything I might want if shit jumps off? Not really. But it's just, yeah. I wanted a wax figure from the Hollywood Wax Museum. I don't know which one, but that was what I was thinking. I was hoping nothing would be on fire when I'm running out, or else it would kind of be like the end of it, right? No, but it was just peaceful. It was love. I mean, I got videos. I got to just put them up to YouTube and kind of edit them where they're not boring, 30 minutes of the same shit. But it was so wonderful. They had cars lined up, bumping music. They had dance parties in the street. They had vigils with candles. Anywhere you walked, it was just like a whole nother thing going on because there were so many people. You go on one side, you can't even hear what's going on in the middle. You go to the other side, you can't hear what's going on in the middle. And both sides, as you're walking through, you're hearing megaphones and different people start talking. They can't even hear the person on the next block doing the same thing. It was awesome, man. And I kept thinking, if the police fuck with us today, they better come correct, because the National Guard was leaving, and we had too many people.
That's the other thing that I think is really different this time when this is happening, because, you talk about the cops slashing tires. That was, in fact, the most famous incident of that in the last week was by the Minneapolis Police Department. And those guys were all in camo with rifles. And then you look at the attempt by the orange dipshit to incorrectly use the the Invocation Act. I mean,
yeah.
He's abusing that, but he sent out National Guard, and those guys have at their disposal much more killing capacity than, even the most militant urban police force. They're the fucking army.
Yeah, they're still beatable.
And what we saw from them was far more control, far more proper procedures. I mean, I haven't heard anything about any National Guard deployment to an urban area in the last 2 weeks where they just came out and broke heads. I mean, we had the incident of the paintballs telling people to get in their house, doing the Fallujah shuffle. But that's it.
I don't know. It's hard for me to tell if they're just cops wearing military gear or National Guard. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, here I can tell, but in some of those videos, and some of these cops here are just, I was walking by the sheriffs, and I got confused which ones was police and National Guards for a minute. The first day they were here, then I figured it out. I think one of the videos, I'm like, oh, shit, these are just police, and those are sheriffs, and those are the National Guards all had M16s or shotguns. And then they had these big-ass fucking, 4-foot wooden thick-ass poles. Wonder what those were for.
Interesting.
But then, like I'm saying, they were slipping in some areas, because I seen as you go further out from the action, there'd just be two of them chilling, sitting down, talking, not paying any attention. Yeah. And I was like, if somebody with a little AK or something just rolled by real quick, you can get 2 more M16s real quick and probably a pistol or whatever else they have on them. That would be a nice come up. but nobody did it. Oddly enough.
But you
got to when we're in a situation like this, you got to try to get their weapons and use them if we need them later against them.
Yeah, I understand that. That's a tactical point. But I mean, just the picture of police trying to be military, being assholes. Then we have the military trying to be police and not going off the handle. I mean, that's the real reason that the National Guard went home everywhere, because they wouldn't do the bidding.
I think they had different orders, because I think their job was to protect the police. That was their main goal, and whatever built government or commercial buildings they were stationed in front of. They weren't there for the people by any stretch of the imagination. Neither are the police ever. So you had them as backup for the pigs. But I think their orders were different because they reacted different. I talked a lot of shit to some National Guards, and they either didn't say anything or threw up a peace sign. The police started doing the peace sign thing like a week ago. I started seeing them all doing that shit. That, they do whatever they tell them. I remember when they started all waving at the same time toward the cameras and saying hi. They get taught how to do certain things to try to counter PR reasons. But the guards, they wouldn't say shit. They would look like you wasn't there. They would ignore you, or they'd throw up the peace sign, and that was it. They never clutched their weapons tight. You know what I mean? They weren't threatening like the pigs. I think they had different orders. Like, unless the pigs get attacked, you don't need to do shit.
But my point is, it's so obvious what the difference in training and how they psychologically create their soldiers compared to the police. It's such a higher standard. It just made it look to me like this just shows how fucking shoddy, how third world urban police forces are.
Well, yeah, I agree with that, but I'm saying as far as the National Guard, a lot of them are cops, and a lot of cops have been in the military. That's why they're so brutal. I think it comes down to orders, because if they would have told the National Guards to fuck us up, you think they wouldn't?
Okay, that's fine, but that's what I mean. Look at the orders. Which organization understands what they're really supposed to be doing in a given situation?
Well, that comes from their higher-ups and their commands. Like, the police are told to fuck us up when they fuck us up. It's not just like, oh, let's go, guys.
Okay, let me put it this way. If somehow the police were suddenly told, do not fuck people up, just take it, how many do you think couldn't do it?
Oh, I see what you're saying, yeah.
But the way they make even these weekend warriors, the National Guardsmen, they know that they have to hold the fucking line. There are standards. There is shit you can't do. Accept it. Live it. Cops, they simply don't have that because they don't have to. That's the problem right there.
Yeah.
They know that they don't have to be that fucking Dudley Do-Right bullshit. They don't have to. That's not why they're there. And that's not why most of them are there. And that's not how shit works. That's the difference. That's what's wrong. And we're right back to this defund, abolish, that's how deep it is. It's the entire game is fucked. It needs to be rewritten completely.
In L.A., our sheriff is, Vieira Grossa is a crooked criminal motherfucker. But this is a history and tradition in the sheriffs. Like Lee Baca, he's in prison, I think. Yeah. He's our last sheriff. They were so corrupt, they had a whole federal investigation, and they were trying to intimidate the feds. It's insane shit, man. These people they think, and they're rightfully so, they think they are above the law. Why wouldn't you if you don't get, if the law doesn't pertain to you, that's by definition being above the law. So
Well,
it's disgusting, man. And nobody's talked about defunding the sheriff yet.
see, now even that, you could, if you say that to somebody who's a statist, somebody who believes in the establishment of a Republican system of government like the U.S. has, just consider that statement. The L.A. County Sheriff's Department was trying to intimidate the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the Department of Justice. Like, what the fuck is wrong with this picture, man?
A lot.
No kidding. Like, that's insane. That's like your corner banger dime bag group is going to challenge Escobar. Like, pardon? Like, it just doesn't happen, man. It's fucked. There's something wrong. And, yeah, I mean, even way up here, the things I've heard about the LA County Sheriff, oh, yeah, nobody holds a candle to them. They are it.
Yeah, they've been corrupt as long as I can ever imagine thinking. I mean, I could tell you story after story personally of how fucking corrupt the sheriff is. We don't have time right now, but yeah, I mean, like, yeah, they are so fucking corrupt. I've had weed stolen by the sheriffs before.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurs.
I used to sell weed to a sheriff. He used to tell me the terrible stories of what kind of shit they would do to witnesses that could snitch on one of their sheriffs and shit. And be laughing how they made motherfuckers disappear. These people are sick and insane, and they don't give a fuck.
And where are they going to go in all this? I mean...
Well, that's what I'm saying. No, I haven't heard anything getting cut from the sheriffs. They need to get rid of the whole shit. What do you need sheriffs for? You got police. So you need to get rid of the sheriffs, let the police pick up their patrols, and then abolish the police. But
I mean...
Bob, you're going to have to do more work for the same money. And the cop's like, damn it, I don't want to have to patrol extra for more money. Never mind, they just abolished the police. You're fired. Ah.
So that'd be like working at Target.
Yeah, that shit would be funny.
See, now this is the other thing I'm worried about Minneapolis. They're going to say this, they're going to do this, and all this shit, and then they're going to go, so what do we do now? And then they sign a contract with the Minnesota State Police.
Yeah, that would suck, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah. How the fuck would that be any better? It wouldn't. Not at all.
It would probably be worse.
There's a good chance.
Yeah.
Because how many guys that have been driving fucking highway for 10 years are suddenly going to get transferred into a big city and they're supposed to, be the cop? No, it doesn't sound like a good idea. But I mean, this is the possibility. Because let's face it, especially in a state like Minnesota, there's going to be some kind of cops. Of course there is. I mean, just look at it the way things work. What's going to happen to insurance? Is the city of Minnesota not going to get underwritten? Are people going to pull money out? Is Minneapolis going to fuck itself and drive itself to bankruptcy by doing something like this? Nobody's really done it like this, so it's going to be interesting what happened. I mean, even Camden had a lot of shit, but, I hate to say it, but, who really gives a fuck about Camden, New Jersey? Philly sure as fuck don't, I'll tell you that. So, I mean, this is just so unique. This hasn't happened before, not like this. So it's going to be a good thing. It's going to be interesting.
I'd rather ride into it, eliminating as much of this police shit as I can, and deal with whatever they try to do, little bullshit next, than to not. Progress is better than nothing.
Well, I bet they had Jesse Ventura back for governor for this.
Dude's a crazy conspiracy theorist, I found out. Did you know that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, because you're more into wrestling.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Jesse, I have to admit,
body.
He wasn't really that bad of a governor, but, one term and I'm good. Fuck this. I'm out of here. So, that tells you something too. And that's the other thing. We want to talk about politics again for a minute. Everybody says that they're all evil bastards, this and that. Yeah, they are, because that's the only way they get in a position for these jobs.
Yeah.
Where are the honest people in government anymore? Well, they're not allowed in. Like, figure it out already. The reason that the so-called great people aren't going into politics is because they're not welcome. And that's a systemic problem. And until, again, that magical quantity, the people, want to do something about that, nothing's going to change on that score.
Yeah. You know what depresses me a little sometimes? Every time I'm at one of these protests, there's some group there that's just like, we need to get out, we need to vote, and I have registration cards for everybody. I'm like, wow, they really don't get it. Who the fuck? I don't want to be all rude in the middle of a protest. I want to get rid of the police. But sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, well, who the fuck should we vote for? And just wait to see who they say.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. Just get out and vote Trump out. Vote Trump out. You're getting a white supremacist warmonger and possibly a rapist. You're getting the same guy, just with a different demeanor. It just blows my mind. These people are so stupid.
Yep.
And they're smart about so much other stuff, but when it comes to voting, it's like, oh my God, we have to vote. We have to pick one or the other. That's all we have. It's not all you have. We could stay out in the streets, and make this shit forever until they give us everything we want. I mean, people out there, as a community, we can do anything. And if people need something, we help each other. We stay out there. People can get breaks, whatever. I don't know, but it needs to happen.
Well, especially a place like the United States, there's never been a nation or a country or an empire with more wealth. Never has there been any racket with more wealth. And in this day and age, to people to insist that things can't be afforded, it's simply a matter of priorities. That's all it is. They're just telling you what their opinion is about something that some people are interested in. That's all it is.
Who the fuck are they? There are employees telling us what we're going to have to do. Where else does that work?
I know, but what happens?
Let the dude at Taco Bell be like, taking an order. Okay, I'm going to need 3 burritos for this order. No, fuck you. I'm making you tacos and you're going to take them. Okay. Here you go,
and you're going to pay more.
Yeah, and you're going to pay more. Yeah, it's like, where else in the world does that work?
But that's just it. If it was a Taco Bell, you'd say, fuck you, and you'd turn around, you'd leave. Nobody does that. But they manufacture consent.
But the guy making the tacos instead of burritos is going to get fired. These politicians are making tacos instead of the burritos. That's what they're doing.
But nobody's complaining to management.
I am. I've been complaining forever, man.
I know. But the managers aren't listening, I guess. That's the issue. I know. It's fucking ridiculous. And it's interesting in the difference of the way things are just generally interpreted. And in the United States, this is basically, it has been for almost 2 weeks, Black Lives Matter. That was it. Now they're trying to spin it onto defund the police. But this was Black Lives Matter, bigger and stronger than ever before.
And it still should be.
Yeah, and now it's getting spun to defund the police. And up here, last Friday, there was a rally at the legislature here when Greta Thunberg was here earlier this year, that was supposedly the biggest crowd ever at the legislature, and they said it was 11,000 outside the building.
Wow.
Well, they did a rally that was themed Black Lives Matter up here in Canada, and they got 15,000. So,
nice.
This is making a huge impact everywhere. But it's not being marketed exactly the same, but it's recognizing the same issues and the same systemic problems, because it's not like black people have ever been equal in Canada, especially with the cops and the justice system, just like the indigenous people. And, we locked up the Japanese in camps. We had a Chinese head tax when we were building our national railway. We're just as guilty as the United States on a lot of scores. But, we're Canadian. We just don't talk about it much. So it's good to see up here in Cracker Western Canada that many people, that many normal, everyday people at this point in time chose to do that. And, the physical distancing was definitely not overwhelming. The mask wearing was not even a majority, I would say. And our cases have gone up, and I imagine they will for another week or two from that rally. But it motivated people enough to turn out under these conditions. So I think that says something. And, the cops were pretty much invisible here when that was going on, because it wasn't about defunding our police. It was about Black Lives Matter. That was the only focus up here. And it's being changed in the U.S. What a surprise.
Yeah, it is starting to change more. But, at the protest, I see nothing but Black Lives Matter signs. I see some defund the police. But, I had the FTP sign since day one.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think if you eliminate, the more police you eliminate, the more black people might actually live longer. And other people, too, poor people in general, will be brutalized, terrorized, abused, murdered, robbed by these motherfucking pigs, because they're doing this every day, all across the country and other parts of the world. They're just not U.S. police, maybe. Our military terrorizes the world, too. We need to stop all this. Like, why do we need, military to have, what do they have? 800 bases around the world?
Yep.
The fuck do they need that for? How does that keep me safe? How does that give me anything? What is that doing for me? Nothing. It's hurting people. It's occupying people. People are suffering because of this. And they say they're doing it for my own good. Fuck you. They need to stop all that shit, man. We need to stay out here. We need to pick it up. We need more people out. And we need to turn up as much as possible and don't be whining about shit. Let everybody do what they need to do. If people want to get some free shit or burn some shit or whatever, that's what they need to do. Who cares? That's their shit.
Well, I just hope that people stay away from the small local business and hit the fucking big box.
Yeah, hit the corporate places, hit the banks, hit the police stations, hit government buildings. And if you, I'm going to say this too, though, but if you in the South, in these little hillbilly towns, there's a lot of white supremacists own business down there. Burn them motherfuckers too.
Yeah.
I don't care how big they are. Some Klan motherfuckers have a lodge or a business, burn that bitch. Yeah, but
that's right.
Don't get, some regular ass motherfuckers business that's not trying to harm the community. Don't hurt the small people, and don't fuck with people's houses unless it's some politicians or, police chiefs or police or whatever.
sheriffs.
And definitely, anyone does, whatever you do out there, stay away from places where houseless people live, like encampments or, areas with a large homeless population, because bringing the police there will get people brutalized. Stay away from there when the police are with you. And afterwards, whatever you got left over from the, food-wise from the protest, if you could get water or chips or snacks or meals, take them and give them to those people. But do it when the police are gone, after everything's over or out of the area. Don't bring the police over there, because they in a violent mood most of the time, and they're just going to start brutalizing people. You don't want them to gas a homeless encampment because you were going through there. Don't, that should be something we always think about. People who have to live out there don't want to be attacked by the police just for living there. Take it to Beverly Hills or Bel Air, the richest ass areas. That's my opinion. Shut down shit.
That would be much more interesting.
What do you say?
That would be much more interesting. Take it out to Bel Air.
Yeah. You want to go around houses, go to Bel Air. But the other day, man, they were marching and there was like 30 people all start locking arms. We heading toward the 110 freeway, the 10 freeway, the 101, all that. We could shut down like the whole city basically right there. So I'm happy. We got 10,000 people or something marching toward the freeway. No, that day it was like 3,000 or 5,000, sorry. Marching toward the freeway. And then they all turned. They turned. We were already going forward. They said, no, we're turning, come back. They had high patrol lined up, but all those people could have went right over and took over the freeway, and they couldn't have done shit for a while,
Yeah.
But they turned to go register people to vote.
Well, I mean, this is going to be a part of it too. I mean, every time something like this happens, you can go back to Occupy for this. There were the people who had been through the 60s that were around, and then there were all these new people who had never really done hardcore protesting or organizing before. And, this is almost a decade later now. Some of those people who were supposedly the future of protest, look at them all now. How many of them have sold their fucking soul, have turned out to be political whack jobs, or the odd one that went to prison, got out, and disappeared? Just because you have a whole shitload of...
There's still some out there. They're just not famous people.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is any type of movement now in 2020 has to be branded, and that's done through an identity, whether it's real or fictional. This is how it works. Everything has to have a face. And some people will get made into faces for what's happening right now. This is something I wish that the whole thing could move away from. Let's just talk about the fucking ideas and the problems.
Yeah.
Don't put faces on everything. But this is a part of how things work, how things are sold. I think that really sucks, but I don't see a way around this. It's going to happen.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Well, it's just like the face of Trump represents everything that's wrong, but he couldn't be doing this without the help of another 30 or 40 DC lifer pieces of shit who are making sure all this happens, but yet Trump is the face, not them. And that's not right. They should all hang. But,
yep.
That's just seems to be the way it's done. And I think the more people that come out, the more independent media and live streaming that covers the crowd as the focus, not anybody in it. That's got power, and I'd like to see that keep working, because that's how Occupy was for a very long time. And then it fell apart when it became about certain leaders in a movement with no leaders.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. They need to stop trying to brand everything. And just let people get out and fight for the cause. But I guess on that note, is there anything else you want to...
Well, for a show that we had absolutely nothing prepared, I think we did all right.
Yeah, we rock.
Oh, the Pope! I'm sure the Pope will like it.
Yeah, the Pope. Oh, sponsors. Go ahead. What's your sponsor?
My sponsors today are Kosher Kush and Blue Dream.
Yeah, I'm smoking Blue Dream wax. That's pretty crazy.
All right.
Yeah. So,
no wonder the show went so well. We didn't even know about it. See?
Sativa.
It just went through all the way through Skype. That buzz connected.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess if that's it, we'll be back soon, and thank everybody for listening. Get out in the streets, stay out in the streets, have the people's backs, and we'll catch you later.